Hello everyone, welcome to Event Digital class. So in today class of computer organization, we will discuss about different type of buses. Okay. So in the previous lectures, I have discussed about direct memory access and also different type of bus arbitrations and how the DMA controller accesses the processor, and when the information transfers from one place to another in a computer system, then we need some medium for transferring that. Okay. So that medium is called as buses. So buses are basically in the form of wires which are used in a computer system for connecting different components of the device with one another. Okay. So we will see different type of buses. Okay. And basically the buses are divided into two types. One is synchronization bus, another one is asynchronous bus. So let us go to the brief information about the buses. So buses are the bus in a computer terminology represents a physical connection used to carry a signal from one point to another. As we know, the information which are transferred from one place to another in a computer system, that is in the form of signals. So there must be a medium which is called as the bus is used to carry the information in the form of signal from one point to another in a computer system. Okay. Then the signal carried by a bus may represent address, data, control signal or power. So what are the signals, and that signal represents these informations, and on the basis of the signal which is carried by the bus naming is defined. Or you can say, if the bus carries the address signal, then it is called as address bus, and the bus which carries the data signal, that is called as data bus. So like this, and typically a bus consists of a number of connections running together. Okay. So buses are not a single connection, but it is a number of connections which runs parallelly. Okay. Then each connection is called a bus line. Okay. As the bus is consist of multiple number of connections and each connection is called as bus line. So in other word, you can say the bus is combination of multiple bus lines, and a bus line is normally identified by a number. Okay. And then related groups of bus line are usually identified by a name. So basically the buses which are used in a computer system, they are identified by a number, and the group of bus lines is used to perform a special type of signal, or you can say the bus lines or a group of bus lines is basically used to carry a special type of signal. So on the basis of that, the buses are named. Then next one is our, for example, the group of bus lines 1 to 16 in a computer system may be used to carry the address of the memory location. So therefore they are identified as the address lines. So the bus lines in a computer system from 1 to 16, that is 16 number of lines, are used to carry the address of the memory location. So that's why that is called as address lines, and the bus which consists of these address lines is called as address bus. Then depending on the signal carried, there exist at least 4 type of buses. One is address bus, data bus, control bus and power buses. Then data buses carry data signals, control buses carry control signal which is generated by the control units, and the power buses carry the power supply or the ground voltage which is used to run the computer system. Then the size or the number of lines of the address, data and control bus varies from one system to another. Okay. That means the number of lines of a bus consists that varies from one device to another device, or you can say the number of lines of a bus consists of, that is different from one system to another system. Okay. So there are different type of buses, and also the buses are differentiated by the bus lines. And then consider, for example, the bus connecting a CPU and the memory in a given system called the CPU bus, and the size of the memory in that system is 512 megawatt and each word is of 32 bits. So in this example, the bus is used to connect the CPU, you can say the processor and the memory, and that is called as the CPU bus. So the size of the memory is 512 megawatts and each word of 32 bits. Then in such system, the size of the address bus should be log to 512 into 2 to the power 20. So mega means 2 to the power 20. Then that will be transferred into the number of lines. That means in this design of the computer system, the bus is consist of 29 number of lines. And how we will get the number of lines? So this is the formula. Okay, here the size of the memory is 512 megawatts. So when you solve this or you put it in the formula, that is log 512 into 2m base 2, that will be gives the result as 29. So result is our the lines which is consist of the bus. Then the size of the data bus should be of 32 lines because each word is here 32 bits. So each bus carries, or you can say the bus lines carries a single signal. So that's why here 32 bits is carried in 32 lines, and at least one control line, that is read and write, should exist in that system. So for this type of computer system, here if the memory is consist of this, that means what the address bus consists of, or the address lines, because address lines is basically used to carry the memory locations. So whatever the size of the memory, based on that the address lines will be given, and whatever the bits the word carries, that will define the lines in the data bus. And there are different type of control lines possible, but there must be one line, that is R equals to W, that should exist in that system. Then next one is our, in addition to carrying the control signals, a control bus can carry the timing signals. Okay, and that timing signals are basically generated by the control units of the computer system, and on the basis of that control signals, or you can say the timing signals, different operations are performed in the computer system. Then these are the signals used to determine the exact timing for data transfer to and from a bus. So these timing signals which is carried by the control bus is used to give the exact time of the data transfer, that means whether from the bus or to the bus. Then that is that's why they determine when giving computer system components such as the processor, memory or the input output devices that can place data on the bus and when they can receive data from the bus. Okay, as we know, the data transfers are basically taken place in between the components of a computer system. And what are the components? The components are processor, memory and different peripheral devices, or you can say the input and output devices. So on the basis of these timing signals, the computer system can determine that when the components will place the data on the bus, or where they can retrieve the data, or when they can collect data from that bus. Okay, so that is basically depends on the timing signals which is carried on the control bus. Then a bus can be synchronous if data transfer over the bus is controlled by a bus clock, and the clock acts as a timing reference for all bus signals. As I have discussed here, on the basis of the timing signals, the data are transferred from or to the bus. So there are two types of bus, one is synchronous and asynchronous. Then synchronous bus is that in which the data transfer is controlled by a clock, or the operations which performed in the bus that will be controlled by the timing signals, and that clock acts as a reference which gives the timing for all the bus signals. And then the bus is asynchronous if the data transfer over the bus is basically depends on the availability of the data but not on the clock signal. Okay, though the synchronous bus depends on the clock, but the asynchronous bus doesn't depend on the clock signal, whether it depends on the availability of the data on the bus. So data is transferred over an asynchronous bus using a technique called as handshaking. So we will discuss about the synchronous and asynchronous bus one after another in our coming slides. Okay. Then to understand the difference between synchronous and asynchronous bus, let's consider the case when the master such as CPU or DMA is the source of data to be transferred to a slave such as IO device. Okay. So as I have discussed in my bus arbitration lecture that there must be a master, it may be a processor or it may be a DMA controller, that is our direct memory access controller. So whatever the component, or you can say whoever the bus master, that is acts as a source to the data which is transferred to the slave, or here the slave is the input and output device. Okay. And then there are the sequence of events which is followed when the data transfer is taken place between the master and the slave, or you can say between the CPU and also between the IO device. So let us see the sequence. Master first sends the request to use the bus, because as we know that bus master is selected by the concept that which device will initialize the data transfer, that device will be selected as bus master. So first the master has to send the request to use the bus, then the bus master request is granted and the bus is allocated to the master, and that request, or you can say the device which initializes the data transfer, so it has to request for the bus to the previously bus master. By sending, then it will get the bus and then it will use that bus. And next, in the third step, the master place the address or the data on the bus. So whatever the information that device wants to transfer with another device, that information will be placed in the bus here. Okay. Then next the slave is selected. So the other devices which are in that data transfer is involved, that will be selected. Okay. Then master signal data transfer will be placed. Then next one is your slave will take the data which the master is placed on the bus. So that data will be taken by the slave, and then after delivering the data to the slave, then the master releases the bus, or you can say it free the bus, so that the other device can get the access of the bus and it can also uses the bus for the further transfer. So these are the scenario, or you can say there are the sequence of events involved when the data transfer is taken place between a bus master and a slave, or you can say in the scenario of data transfer, the bus masters are such as CPU and the direct memory access controller, and the slave is the other devices like our input and output devices. Okay. So these are the sequence of events which are performed to do the data transfer between the processor, or you can say between the direct memory access controller and the input and output devices. Okay. So next one is our synchronous and asynchronous bus. So as I have told you, that the buses are basically divided into two types. One is synchronous and another one is asynchronous. What do you mean by synchronous actually, and what do you mean by asynchronous? So whatever the concept we use in the synchronous bus, the asynchronous bus uses just the opposite of that. Okay. And in the synchronous bus, as I have discussed briefly in the buses, that here we use the clock and on the basis of that clock the events are occurred. But in asynchronous bus there are no specific clocks, and the events are occurred on the basis of some other concept. So, we will describe these buses one after another in my further slides. So, before going to the details about synchronous and asynchronous buses, let us see what are the rules and regulations followed when we use that bus, which is called as the bus protocols. Okay. So, bus protocols basically we know that the bus is a communication channel which is shared by many devices, and hence rules need to be established in order for the communication to happen correctly. These rules are called as bus protocols. Okay. So, rules means like which device will transfer by the bus first and which device will be next, and the device will transfer or will use the bus for how many times, and in between the device transformation, or you can say when one device transfers the data, in between that maybe there is a possibility that other device can access the same bus or not. Okay. So, to resolve this type of confusions, there are some rules has to be established in order to communicate through the buses in a correct way. Okay. Then so there are bus protocols which is provided by the communication channel, and that is called as the bus. So, the rules and regulation of using the bus is called as basically the bus protocols. The next one is our design of a bus architecture involves several trade-offs related to the width of the bus, data transfer size, bus protocols and clocking. So, when we design the bus architecture, that means there are many more type of buses are available in the computer system, like our USB bus, PCI bus, then our SCSI bus. So, different type of buses are available. So, when we design the bus, then you have to include some concept or some features when you develop the bus. So, what are these? These are the width of the data bus and data transfer size, that means how much data can be transferred at a single point of time by using that bus. Okay. And then width of the data bus means how many lines, or you can say how many bus lines were used in a single bus. Okay. And then bus protocols, what are the rules and regulations we have to set when many devices share the single bus. Okay. Then clocking, so there must be a signal, or you can say there must be a bus line where we have to transfer the clocks, and these clocks are basically transferred in the form of zeros and ones. Okay. And that is in a sequential format, and the duration is approximately same. So, you have to consider this concept when we develop or when we design a bus architecture. Then next one is, depending on whether the bus transactions are controlled by a clock or not, buses are classified into synchronous and asynchronous bus. So, whether the bus, or you can say the data transfer which is done by using the bus which is controlled by the clock or not, or you can say when we transfer the data, then whether we use the clock or not, based on that concept, the buses are classified into two types. One is synchronous, another one is asynchronous buses. Okay. So, depending on whether the data bits are sent on parallel wires or multiplexed into one single wire, these are called as parallel and serial buses. So, there are many characteristics. On basis of that characteristics, the buses are divided into different types. Okay. So, on the basis of the use of clock, the buses are divided into two types. One is synchronous and asynchronous, and depending on the data bits are sent or the way of data bits in which it will be sent through the bus, on basis of that the buses are transferred into two types. One is parallel buses and another one is serial buses. Parallel buses means there are parallel wires and at a single point of time we can transfer multiple bits individually in the wires, but in the serial bus means we are transferring multiple bits, but by multiplexing that into a single line, or you can say by multiplexing multiple bits into a single, so that we can transfer that by using a single wire. So, serial means one after another, that means only one bit can be transferred by using that bus, but the parallel means at the same point of time we can transfer multiple bits individually without multiplexing. Okay. So, the next one is our control of the bus communication in the presence of multiple devices necessitates a defined procedures called as arbitration schemes. In this section, different kind of buses and arbitration schemes are described. Okay. So, I have discussed about the arbitration schemes. I have discussed in my previous lectures about the arbitration schemes, that is centralized and distributed. Okay. So, there are the communication is placed when multiple device wants to communicate by using the bus. So, by using the bus arbitration technique, the bus master is selected. Okay. And in the centralized manner, that means there is a central device which controls the bus, but in the distributed system there is nothing like that, so that any device can be access that bus by sending a code, or you can say by sending the bits or the address which is given to that device. Okay. So, the bus arbitration schemes and the different types of buses will be described in my further slides. Okay. So, before going to that, let us get some brief idea about the arbitration. So, arbitration is basically divided in two types, as I have told you. One is centralized, another one is distributed. So, in centralized, the devices are connected, or you can say the DMA controllers are basically connected in a daisy chain way. Okay. And in the distributed, there are nothing like that connections, and in that the device sends the address and that address is flows in a 4 parallel lines, and after getting the bits or the code which is higher, that device will get the buses. And the arbitration scheme is basically used to select the bus master, and after selecting the bus master, the other devices which are connected to that device will be selected as the slave. And as I have discussed, the sequence of events which will be followed when the data transfer is taken place between the bus master and the slaves. Okay. And there are the protocols which is used when we transfer the data by using the buses. So, in the further lectures, I will discuss about the synchronous and asynchronous bus. Okay. So, if you have any doubt, you can mention it in the comment section. Till then, keep watching. Thank you.